Ooh. I have no idea what that was.
Where it came from? Oh, it came from the TV. Yeah, you're alive.
Awesome.
We're live?
Yeah.
I think we are.
We're live.
Awesome.
All right. Well, good news. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy here, joined by Thomas.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself appropriately.
I will. Hi, everybody. My name is Tuomas Suominen. I am from Finland, representing the Tyyni event as one of our, I would like to say media, but I would say that the talking head would be a more appropriate expression.
Well, you're going to be wearing a number of different hats. You just got done emceeing what was ultimately the player party or player meeting, I should say, that thankfully didn't get entirely rained out. We saw a little bit of rain, but you were up there and welcoming everyone as we're officially opening the event. How does that feel?
It was excellent. It was such a pleasure to see so many people here, despite the promise of rain, despite the promise of possibly getting wet, and still have so many people show up to the opening ceremony, together with the sponsors, together with the tournament directors, everybody. It was great.
Well, of course, we have to talk about the sponsors who are making this event possible, along with the staff, along with the volunteers, and then our players that are here, nearly 1,000 of them. Coming from America, I have to immediately jump out and say, what do we know? How can we talk about the fact that Ford is such a premier sponsor at this event? Aside from all of our disc golf companies, which we'll talk about, and we see them every weekend, outside sponsorship, and Ford being one of them. That's incredible.
I would have to agree with that. Ford has been very forthcoming towards disc golf. In general, actually, we have one of the courses that we're playing during the Tyyni event is actually sponsored. The whole course is sponsored by the Ford company. They're having their logos on the tee pads. They're having their logos on the tee signs. And even now, the representative from the company was at the opening ceremony welcoming everybody to the namesake course and was super happy that there will be so many people playing that one. So I think that kind of partnership is beautiful. It's something disc golf should be heading towards.
Well, we talk about it all the time. Every single week we say how outside sponsorship is so crucial. In fact, I'll say just even a few weeks or a few days ago, while I was at the Ledgestone event back in the States, I was talking with a few of the head representatives over at Discraft, who was, of course, headlining that. And they even said, we need more outside sponsors. They are more than happy to say, whether it be a Coca-Cola or a Ford or whomever it is, to come in and maybe take a little pressure off of not only our disc golf manufacturers, but I think also help elevate the entire sport and make us look so much bigger and hopefully be part of that growth. So,
yeah, I would have to, I would definitely have to agree with that sentiment. It is something disc golf needs, and I'm super happy for the opportunity that we have, for example, with Ford during Tyyni, that they are here and helping us out.
All right. Well, and speaking of helping us out, all week long, I will lean on you for all the correct pronunciations as I spit that one out. But I will lean on you for all of those. Let's talk a little bit about who we're seeing for representatives here, the different states or the different countries, as I'm used to saying states, the different countries that are here. Do you have any idea of roughly how many different countries that we have represented?
I might be wrong when I'm saying this because I don't have the actual numbers with me right now, but earlier today when we were counting, we will have a minimum of 9 different nationalities represented, with the furthest one from Finland. Oh,
or 16.
Sorry, that's 16. So I'm counting.
Awesome.
I'm totally counting wrong.
No.
So that's 16, with the furthest one being all the way, or the player with the furthest traveling to do was all the way from Thailand. Who is participating here. Of course, a lot of people from Scandinavia, but also from Central Europe, from across the pond in the United States. We have people from the UK. So it's turning out to be quite an international event.
Yeah, and I am so blessed to know that it was just a few months ago. I traveled with my good buddy Johnny Rumble, who's also here from the States. He's here from Germantown, Wisconsin. But we traveled to Thailand, and that's where we met two of those representatives in Nick and View, who are going to be competing, and View, who will be on the FPO feature card tomorrow.
Yes, indeed.
Very, very exciting to see, and not only the most traveled or furthest traveled, but also one of the best FPO players that we have here. So everyone's going to have we're going to have international flair. I think on the FPO feature card, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for everyone now. We have four different countries represented in Germany, the U.S., Thailand, and Estonia.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's awesome just in itself.
Yes, and the card will be fun to watch.
Yes, exactly. So what is your role going to be this week? I know you already have emceed. You also will probably be talking pretty much every night here to try and wrap up the day. But what else are you going to be doing this week?
Hopefully, given that my legs can handle it, I'm supposed to do live commentary, both for the FPO, at least for a couple of holes daily, as well as then follow the feature card for the MPO for all 3 rounds and do the live commentary for that. Probably we're going to do it over Facebook.
Okay.
But similarly to last year, actually.
Wow.
That we did.
And then are you competing too?
Yes, I am.
I don't think there's enough hours in the day for all of that.
Well, yes, there is. This is Tyyni, This is 10 days of nothing but disc golf,
Well, and speaking of hours in the day, something as we traveled here and got acclimated, or still are working on getting acclimated over the last day and a half, the fact that it was roughly midnight last night and it was relatively bright out. And how do you see a lot of people that come here and maybe have that challenge, whether just how light it is or maybe even forgetting what time of the day it is?
I can see that being a problem for someone who is not used to it, say outside of Scandinavia, Estonia, the Baltics, because we're relatively used to this, of course, because this is our home turf. But yes, I can understand that being somewhat challenging to some of the people, but on the other hand, it gives us some really unique opportunities as well. Even though we're talking now about the Wednesday recap, Tyyni has been going on for several days already.
Okay.
And we have played some side events, and one of them was called the Tyyni Dawn Tournament, which is actually a sanctioned PDGA tournament that was played so that we started the round, or they started the round at 2 a.m. And then they played, through the morning until it was full light. But that is possible. You can do this in Finland.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that sounds like kind of my place. I'm a little bit of a night owl myself. So the idea of starting a tournament at 2 o'clock sounds great. So we've also seen that there's clearly some influence with Dynamic Disc and Latitude 64, West Side, the Trilogy family as it's commonly referred to. We've seen a lot of influence come from the Glass Blown Open. Such a tremendous event. And if there's an event out there that you would really love to mimic or maybe copy a little bit, the Glass Blown has this amazing model. What have you seen as this event has grown throughout the last few years? What are some of the enhancements or improvements or things that you've seen progress with this event over the last few years?
The first thing that stands out, of course, is the size of the event. We've been growing exponentially even during the past 3 years. Thanks to all of the volunteers, thanks to all of the staff. They are doing some amazing work every single year doing this. But I would still say that one of the key elements that sort of makes Tyyni similar in sense to the Glass Blown Open and tries to mimic it in some sense here in Europe is the whole festivity around the tournament. So it's not a tournament. You don't just go out there to compete, but you go there to have an experience and to live out an experience. And I think that is the thing combining or that is in common between these two events.
Yeah, they've really grown, and the Glass Blown, whether it's been the 3 rounds or the 4 rounds of actual, focused competition, the putting competition, all the free activities they have going on, the nightly parties, the involvement with the bars and restaurants, all of those things, like you said, make it so much more of an experience. And in a similar sense, we would love everyone. We invite everyone that's here to go. And when they're having one of those great experiences, we have a hashtag Tyyni, moment, right?
sir.
Just like we've seen, and I even have to break myself of the habit of the hashtag GBO moment. Very similar, but we want to see people, use that hashtag and, get recognized out there on social media. And now you had a hashtag of your own.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics within the world of disc golf, which is the people who are volunteering for us players. They're doing an immense amount of work just to make an event enjoyable for all of us, and especially the TDs, the tournament directors. They are the unsung heroes of disc golf, in my opinion, and therefore I'm trying sort of to start a new trend of hashtags called Give Your TD a Hug. So hashtag Give Your TD a Hug, or at least a high five, because they have definitely earned one.
I like that. Well, and with Smashbox TV, which I think is being under control back in the States by Johnny V, I think he may even push it off a day. We've been a big fan of the big hug idea out there. There's just so much love to spread around in disc golf. Now, speaking of TDs, staff, volunteers, right here in this very room, I can almost reach out and touch them, maybe give them some hugs. A couple distinguished gentlemen. We have Juha and Gabe. Very, very impressive what they've put together. What do you know about these guys, even if they are in the room?
Oh, that's a bad one, because they are in the room. No, in all seriousness, two extremely hardworking guys with a good vision and who are doing an excellent job to the disc golf community here in Finland. I really personally appreciate everything these guys are doing, and it's amazing to see how much effort, spirit, and heart they put in everything that they do, especially with regards to Tyyni.
Yeah, and also up on the stage, when I think back to the ceremony just a little while ago, 5, 6, 7 other TDs that were called up there, somewhere in that neighborhood,
yes.
Right? Quite a few. How many total courses are ultimately being played? Do I have to check the app or the caddy guide for that?
Actually, I think I need to count them in my head in order to get there.
We got 8.
Yeah, I think it's 8.
Is there more than 8? Okay,
No.
So it sounds like 8's the official number, which is incredible. And think about that, everyone at home. When you're at your C tier, your B tier, even when your Pro Tour or National Tour rolls into town, you more than likely have 2, maybe 3 courses that are in play for a weekend. And now you come to an event like this, and there's 8 courses that are in play, or almost 1,000 people present. What an undertaking.
I agree. And my personal thanks already go out to, as Juha mentioned during the opening ceremony, is that we have 4 clubs taking part in just the organizing of the event, taking care of the courses, preparing the courses, TDing for the courses, doing an amazing workload of preparations just to get the event rolling. And just the opportunity to have 4 clubs participating together in arranging a single tournament is a feat in itself. I think it's awesome.
I agree. And now, so I'll ask you a little bit, I don't want to call it political, but in the U.S., on any given event, sometimes, especially in a really big disc golf community, sometimes a club or an organization may almost butt heads with other clubs and organizations. And now here we are, having this event with 4 different ones. Is there... Clearly not here, but is there sometimes, does that happen to some clubs or organizations occasionally, or does everyone gets along perfect here?
Well, I think getting along perfect is a myth in itself.
Okay.
But everybody gets along. Yeah, I think that the position disc golf as a sport has here in Finland is very communal, so to say.
Yeah.
So we're sort of building a community and then working towards making things good for the disc golfing community, and therefore there is no room for any strong bickering or any stuff like that.
Okay, well, it takes quite an effort. I'm also going to speak quickly on the effort. Maybe we'll have him in here this week just to have a quick catch up with him. Someone that came over from the U.S. that is, I think, going to have a very large impact here this week and in the upcoming weeks. Seth Muncy of Disc Golf Strong. How incredible is that? That people will get a chance to meet him and then even take actual clinics with him.
Yeah, Seth has been doing a lot, or putting in a lot of effort in trying to popularize the idea of every disc golfer being an athlete, and therefore being required to take care of their tools of the trade, as in their bodies, like athletes do. And I think that is a very healthy and very positive approach to the whole sport. And therefore, I think it's an excellent idea also just to give an example through his clinics, give an example that hopefully will then take root and maybe gain some momentum also on this side of the pond.
Yeah, well, I saw just outside of where we're at right now, earlier today he was giving a clinic. I think he had another one scheduled. I'm not sure, again, what his exact schedule is throughout the entire week, but I'll make sure to catch up with him, and maybe we can even catch up with him in here for a few minutes at some point this week to see what his plans are so he can share some of that knowledge with everyone. From a competitive standpoint, have you taken a look at what we're going to see on MPO, FPO? I know there's, of course, a lot of amateurs here that make up the most of the field, but have you looked at how we might see things shake out on MPO or FPO? Have you had any foresight into any of that?
Not very much as of yet.
Okay.
What I do know from the field of the MPO is that, with possibly the exception of a few very well-known names participating here, there is still going to be a lot of competition going on. And I think that the Finnish players, the Estonian players, a lot of the Central European players will definitely give the Americans a run for their money. I'm fairly certain of that. And I'm hoping to be able to shed a bit more light on that tomorrow after we see the first round. In particular, because the weather forecast for tomorrow is promising to be very Finnish type of weather. So
Which means
it's promising to be wet.
Okay. All right. I think I need an umbrella. So I'll go ahead. I like to cheat a little bit when we do these things. If I go to the PDGA website, I can find it there. And if you just simply sort by rating, and as I always say, you have to play the game. But by rating, you have Eagle McMahon, who is a story in itself, himself, as he comes off of withdrawing last week from a very big tournament, the Ledgestone. So Eagle McMahon, who as of right now or earlier today said he was going to be playing, he's rated 1049. Simon Lizotte at 1039. Seppo sits at 1035. And Jesse Nieminen?
Yes, Sepp Nieminen.
Okay. Is rated 1025 along with
Väinö Mäkelä.
That was my guess. Also rated at 1025. So as you said, some great competitors, and then I believe the only other American in the at least in the open field, or there's a couple others. I apologize, but it looks like then Eric Oakley also sitting somewhere in that top 10. So
Yes.
It's going to be very competitive for sure. Do you feel like, have you ever noticed that some people say that the big events based around the U.S. maybe carry a little bit higher ratings with them, and there's a disadvantage if you don't live or play with some of those higher rated players more regularly?
I wouldn't necessarily go down that alley. However, a big difference, well, it's not that big really, but a difference is that in Finland we are relatively used to playing in tight-wooded courses.
Okay.
Compared to, for example, what we see in say Arizona or some of the
Sure.
the bigger national tour events that we have, where it's relatively open and where you get a big advantage if you have a good distance and stuff like that. However, once you go into the woods and you start really challenging your lines, that is what the Finns are used to. And therefore, because I always want to root for the Finnish players, I'm going to say Seppo Paju is going to be loving playing these courses, because this is what he's grown into, just playing in the woods, shooting those long, accurate drives down the tight tunnels. It's pretty much his game. So I'm at least hoping that he's going to do really well.
Well, and we saw him just a few weeks ago playing, of course, very well, taking Eagle all the way to the final hole at the Beaver State Fling. I'm not sure if you guys caught all of that action, but it was incredible, the battle that he had there. And Seppo, of course, has been a fierce competitor for many years. And as he's come to the U.S., everyone's recognizing just how good he is. So being on this side of the pond, so to speak, it'll be great to see him. Maybe he's got a little additional confidence, or maybe he's, maybe feels like he even has an advantage over here.
Could be. Could be. You would have to ask him.
True.
Actually, I'm hoping to be able to ask that question from him sometime during this week.
All right. Well, it'll be great to see. And again, we'll know more tomorrow. By the time tee-off rolls around, is Eagle McMahon. And I have to say, I feel like that's a really strong storyline. Is Eagle McMahon comfortable with going ahead and trying to compete at this event or not after a withdrawal? I saw him out there playing today. He shot 17 under par.
Yeah.
With Eric Oakley.
That was fun to watch.
Okay. Did you play with him?
I did not, but I played very near. We left about 20 minutes in advance of them. So every time there was a tiny backup, we would run back and just watch those guys play. And it was pretty impressive. I mean, the amount of green on that scorecard after the round, shooting 17 under with 0 eagles.
Yep.
It was just birdies, and 1 par. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not surprised after I was blessed to play with my good friend Johnny Rumble, and we got to hole number 3, which I believe is the only hole that they missed. It's the only hole they didn't birdie. And I want to say it was about, I'll say feet, 450 feet uphill, maybe even a little longer than that, but it played uphill, and you would need definitely a crush to be able to get there.
Yeah.
And it was early yet in the round for them, but that was the only hole they missed. And that is at Nivas? Is that how it's pronounced? Nevis. Okay. So that's where they were competing at. Now, speaking of that course, tomorrow, that's where things start for our FPO and MPO. Predictions, thoughts, any insight on that course?
The course is, coming from me again, the course is beautiful, which is one of the main reasons why I really like it, because it's built to a bowl golf course. However, it's not done in the traditional way where you make the difficulties from the sand bunkers and all of that, because there's actually a lot of wood surrounding the golf course. And therefore, the disc golf course is designed to follow the wooded lines. So you really need your full skill set in order to play there. Some of the holes are relatively long for the amateur field, which is like nothing to the Crush Boys and the top players in the world. But still, it's relatively challenging. And I think that the main factor for tomorrow will be if it is actually wet, because the wet grass might produce either some really spectacular skips, or it might just suck the disc in immediately. And so there's a sense of unpredictability in the ground action there, and that might do something tomorrow. At least that is my prediction for tomorrow.
I completely agree with that. And then also something gets said about the amount of preparation and experience some of those competitors have. How many people have played in the rain? Do you manage your umbrella? Do you have a caddy? How did you bring, 12 towels or 19 towels or 4 towels? Like all of those types of things certainly factor into how well they can navigate throughout the course. And I say it all the time. I feel as if our best players, of course, they have great skill sets, but then also they're the first ones where someone says, I'll caddy for you. I'll stand out here in the rain and hold your bag. So then they get an additional advantage by somebody like jumping at the chance to be their caddy. And when it's raining out, a caddy, I feel like, doubles or triples in their value.
I agree.
So we'll see how that plays out. All right. Well, it's same course, but talking briefly again about the women's side, we have 16 women, and if we rate them if we sort them by their rating, I mentioned earlier, Kristen Tatar is our top-rated female here, coming in from Estonia. View Giorgio, who we talked about from Thailand. Sophie, help on that? Do you know Sophie B?
Sophie Björlycke.
Okay. Is our third highest rated. She's right there, just a point off of View. She's rated 930. And then Antonia, who I just met actually just after the players meeting, I believe she said she's from Germany.
Yes, sir.
And rated 919. So 3 out of those 4 will be on our feature card tomorrow. And then, like I said, along with Tina Stenitis. So that's going to be exciting. Now, there's a lot of conversation on the national tour and on the pro tour and just for women's disc golf in general. The tee pads for women is a good conversation piece. Where they are, do they challenge their skill sets, accordingly? And then you see, Jennifer Allen and Paige Pierce and Katrina Allen just go out and seemingly always have this huge distance advantage. These women are playing the same tees as the men, and I feel like that's a lot of golf. I mean, this course is not short by any means.
Nope. It's gonna be hard on the shoulders. That one's for sure. But with regards to Nevis, I think that it is one of the fairest courses you can play, because the AMs are playing that same course.
Yeah, okay.
The pro players are playing that same course. Wow. FPO is playing that same course. MP40 is playing that. MA40 is playing that. So it's kind of like for everybody. And if your goal is to go, 18 under on 18 holes, then yes, it's definitely going to be hard. But if your goal is to beat the competition and just play your game and play consistent, good golf, then those distances are just perfect. In my opinion, that is.
Okay, well, there's going to be plenty of challenge out there. I know earlier today, coming off that course. Now, granted, I don't play much golf these days. That was a full round and then some. Do you know how many? 2,600 meters? Does that ring a bell? I think somewhere in the math, 2,600 meters. Does that sound about right?
Something like that.
That's like 9,000 feet.
Exactly, something along that ballpark. Yeah.
So you're the one getting a math PhD, but that's almost 500 feet a hole average.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
I guess we'll leave it there. That's a lot of golf.
It is, but it's very enjoyable.
It is. It absolutely is.
And every single hole, and I must emphasize this: every single hole on that course is possible to play to a par.
Yeah.
Just by playing consistently, even if you can average a 300-foot, 350-foot drive.
You're right. I will say every hole is very fair out there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is very well marked. There's nothing weird or goofy or fluky or anything of that nature. I thought it played as a very straightforward course.
Yeah.
You're just throwing a lot as you're out there, and we know Seppo and Eagle and those types will throw less, but it's going to be a lot of golf to open up the event.
But they've earned that.
They have. They certainly have. Is there anything else we need to touch on as we're, now here we are Wednesday night, just getting the eve before the event. Anything else we should touch on before we let everyone go here tonight?
Actually, there's one thing I would still like to bring up, and let's see if we can bring this up to the camera as well. The trophies.
Don't drop it.
The trophies for each division. Actually, it's the same trophy for each division. And they are such a marvelous piece of art. Let's see if we can focus the camera on that one still. Well, we almost can.
Almost.
It's a marvelous piece. It is such a beautiful trophy, and it is so awesome to see that every division champion will be receiving one, as well as the podium finishers will also be receiving some pretty nice awards. And as soon as I saw that one for the first time, I decided to step up my game, even though I'm doing all of this others, because I really want one of those.
All right. Well, and it even lights up.
It lights up, yeah.
It lights
There's
up.
a hidden LED light, so you can use it in your nightstand as a really beautiful piece of decoration.
It's gorgeous. And in addition to that, a free car, right? Did I hear that? No, I misheard that.
I think you did.
Okay. That's next year. Next year, I think we're giving away free cars.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
No reaction from the tournament staff on that.
How about putting one of those in the ace pot? I think that would be a decent idea. I know it's an old one.
All right. If you're all right with it, I didn't know if anyone has a few questions. Maybe we could, I'd love to kind of keep in check. We've got a lot of our great normal supporters and viewers out there. If there's any quick questions that come in very soon from the board, we could address or answer those. Otherwise, we're going to start wrapping things up. We're going to keep it a little bit short tonight. And what should we, as they submit their questions, what can we promise, or what are we projecting to do for the next few nights? You want to give them a preview?
We are hoping, at least, to do this nightly recap show on a nightly basis, sort of just to recap what has been going on during the day. I'm hoping to be able to give some inside information just by following the feature and the lead cards. on the daily basis from there. And also, if you are following Tyyni event on Facebook, you should be able to also enjoy some of the live coverage every day. The picture quality will be just mobile phone quality, but at least it will give you some sort of a glimpse into what our cards are doing. And then of course there will be some post-production stuff coming later from yours truly.
Yeah, so make sure you go out there and follow along on Facebook as you're going to be doing the coverage. You said it'll be stabilized. You'll have a microphone, all of that good stuff, so people will be able to watch the action as it unfolds, depending on where they are in the country and what time it is, or what other country they're in, I should say. But they'll be able to watch the action, and like you said, I think it's going to be great every night being able to catch up and see what you hear on both the MPO and FPO sides, and also from your play and from what's taking place at the courses that you're visiting and you're part of as well throughout the day. I don't know if there's enough hours in the day for all of that.
No, there's not. There's not. And I would still like to pick up one more point because we discussed this yesterday with you, and of course, all of the accolades and all of the attention goes to our MPO and FPO fields. But there are a lot of other divisions who are playing. Actually, the majority of the players playing the tournament are amateurs. So therefore, I'm also hoping to be able to bring up some highlights from also the amateur divisions and how they are doing. Because remember, we're playing 3 rounds. The MPO and the FPO are playing 3 out of the 8 courses. So we still have 5 more courses where stuff is happening. So yeah, we have 192 registered professional players or pro division players, and the amateur divisions have a grand total of 772 players. So
wow, incredible.
Like almost 4 times the amount of pro players in this event. So therefore we need to highlight the AMs as well.
I completely agree with that, and I think that's great. And that's where, getting that insight, and maybe someone who either has a great round or someone that, hits 3 aces in one round, whatever story, maybe we could get some of those people in, and either you or I will talk to them and let that unfold throughout the week.
Exactly.
Which is very cool to see. So all right. Well, it doesn't look like anyone has anything specific. Of course, Elizabeth reminding me that it's no longer Tina Oakley. It is in fact, or Tina Stenitis. It's Tina Oakley. You would think after attending their their wedding, I would remember that. But you call someone their name, long enough.
Old habits die hard.
Exactly. That sounds good to me. And Ryan Pilcher, who's a huge help in Illinois and Wisconsin, had asked if Eagle is playing, and I said a little earlier that as of right now, he's registered and ready to go. However, I think come about 3:10 tomorrow local time, we'll find out if that decision is in fact final. All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and close things out. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We know that it was a little bit of a impromptu here on the site, but thank you guys so much for participating and watching and following along. I think as the week goes on, we'll have even more insight for you. Maybe we'll be able to have a giveaway or two that we'll incorporate for you guys liking and sharing everything that's happening. And anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, thank you for tuning in this case.
That's such a good one. I love it. All right. For Thomas and Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll see you guys tomorrow from the Tyyni Open.